Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Flowtricks. It is Ken. We are doing a live stream on Sunday, as we've been doing for many weeks, for a couple months actually. I was looking back, we are on our 21st live stream. If you think about that, most live streams are about an hour and a half long. So we're talking at least public YouTube videos, because I also do other private streams. We've got like over 30 hours of questions answered. That's amazing. Hold on one second. I've got this monster echo, and I'm going to try to figure out where the culprit's at. Oh my gosh. Hold on one second. So I hear like this nasty, like crazy echo. So just give me 1 second here. Hopefully you guys don't hear it too. Boom. Okay, we're back to good. So yes, welcome to the Flowtricks live stream, as always on Friday night at 5 p.m. CST, Central Standard Times, until otherwise known. I'm here to answer you guys' questions about nunchucks. Before we begin, I always want to thank Flow Toys. I have these amazing staves ordered by Flow Toys, and I cannot wait to show you guys. They're going to be 4-foot staves, full length. They're going to be amazing. I just realized something. Hold on one second. I can't see the chat window. Let's turn that on. Boom. There we go. There's going to be 4-foot full-length staves. They're going to be vision staves, so they're going to just be 4 feet of LEDs top to bottom. It's going to be insane. I can't wait to spin them. So yeah, I've got to thank Flow Toys. They're making some LED chucks, fantastic ones, especially for training and performing in. And then also want to thank Dark Monk. They supply all my training chucks as well as most of my fire gear. So again, thank you to the sponsors. And I want to thank you all for watching too. As always, this is a live stream, so you ask me questions. I've got about an hour to an hour and a half to answer whatever you all want to know. And yeah, that's how it works. The whole idea of this is just that we're all indoors. I mean, I know COVID's back and people are trying to return back to normality, but there's no normality to return to for me. Even as businesses open, well, in the United States, everything's open now, so it's whatever. But normality still won't hit people like me for a long time, because people are still going to be very hard to hire entertainment, which means my whole focus is Flowtricks right now. I mean, most of what I do is focused on Flowtricks. I'm also working on some cool projection stuff in the background. But for the most part, teaching is my primary way of earning a living. So with that said, I figured I'd start off with this instead of put it in the middle. Right below is a place where you can leave a tip if you like this session, or if you've liked past sessions, or you just want to support future sessions too. All of it is greatly appreciated, because like I said, this is my life. It's been my life for almost a decade now, and all I want to do is just keep making more videos and making more ideas and communicating and helping people more and more. So if you guys like it, right below, the Patreon has over 100 exclusive videos. You've heard the spiel. Most of you guys have already know, but there is over 100 extra videos in there, as well as I can help you guys with wherever you're at. Okay, so I've got one video submission, and I want to talk to you guys about that too. ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. Don't forget, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. Send me a video. We are going to go over a footwork video that Jency had submitted. He had asked a question earlier, and I've given him advice, and it sounds like he's working on it. Now he'd like to know where to go next. If you would like your video featured on Sundays, just go ahead and send me an email. Please try not to send me an attachment though. Someone already tried to give me a virus by sending me this shady link. I could tell it was the wrong one though, so I didn't even look at it. But if you can, try to like upload it as a private YouTube video, and then, or unlisted YouTube video, and then just send me the link to there. That's a lot easier, because then I know I can trust it. But yeah, we've got a video review. I'm gonna shout out to everyone that's here. Before I begin though, I always like to start off with a little philosophy, or at least some thoughts. And my week has been a little bit, it's been interesting. And I gotta say, man, there's one thing to do, like, it's always to take care of yourself. It's very important that you all take care of yourself no matter what. So flow can be an amazing way to express your emotions. So when you're feeling upset or sad or happy or excited, all of this can come out in your flow, and it can actually, you can build your stage presence by connecting the way that your emotions feel to getting it out into movement. But there's also something that happens in the background of that. Not only does it help you as a performer, but it can also just kind of clean the slate. Because a lot of times I feel like when we are clear, when we're calm, when we are able to just see past our emotions at times, that's when we see things the most clear. And sometimes we make decisions when we're not in the best mental state. And this is where I think flow is really helpful. Now, I don't think flow can replace whatever challenges people have, but what I can assure you is that if you are feeling something where, like, you should never make decisions when you're angry, for instance, right? So if you're feeling a little off, or if you're, no matter what it is, you can always use flow as a way to express those feelings, to get it out of the way, to just get that energy out, so then you can come back to your questions and look at it a little bit more clearly. I think clarity is very important to have, especially in today's age. It's very important, not necessarily to take a side yet. I mean, definitely take your sides, but first to be clear about what it actually is, to actually like ask yourself, what do I really need to know? It's the same thing when we're doing chucks. You don't wing it to what feels good. You could, but if you really want to learn quickly, you really look at it and say, okay, clearly how do we break this down into little pieces, and what do I need to train on to get to the next step? If you can look at it that way, you'll supercharge your training. You'll be able to see, because you'll know exactly, again, clarity is the big topic of today. So the ability to see the missing pieces and the missing steps, to just have an overview of how everything connects. Well, I mean, you can learn it. You can learn to apply that from how you train with your chucks or whatever you spin, and you can apply that to your whole life. Just the understanding, if you could just take what you've already learned, not technique-wise, obviously, but if you realize that there's like a template that your mind creates in order to learn and understand things, you can apply that to everything. And in my opinion, I just think it just makes everything more well-rounded. So that's my spiel for today. I'm going to give some shout-outs now. I'm going to start on the Facebook page because it's usually really quiet. My YouTube channel is always bustling, but Facebook's kind of quiet. People are more shy. Let's just go with that. All right, so yep, Facebook is quiet as always. So let's go ahead and do some shout outs. Shout out to Laura. I'm just going to read these off to you. It says, hi Ken, I have questions. I have bow questions this week. We'll be asking you soon. Good night, love from India. Awesome. Yeah, India's so cool. I really want to visit there sometime. But yeah, please ask me some staff questions. You'll find staff and Nunchuck have a lot in common. A lot in common once you can get past the foldable center of a chuck. Flow Arts tutorials. Yeah, time to unleash the inner ninja. I'm here for a second week running. Sweet. Oh, it's Anthony. Okay, Anthony Trickshot Taylor. I changed the name of my channel and I was wondering if you got snake poi ready. Sure do. Actually, I just spun them a couple days ago. I gotta say, I did a gig. It was at 3 hours of atmospheric. I'll just, long story short, I can never go atmospheric. I can never be chill. I always have to spin super hard, so my body got wrecked. But I had such a great workout, and it was a good time entertaining people for 3 hours. All right. Hello to Mansoor. He says, hi, sir. Who is your teacher, and where's from? I'm wondering if he's wondering where I'm from or where my teacher's from. I've had a lot of martial arts teachers, but my biggest teacher was myself, really. I'm going to be honest, like, not a lot of people taught me a lot of the tricks in martial arts, or in freestyle nunchucks. Most of it came with me just sitting in my room trying to come up with new ideas or new thoughts. See, that's the thing about me, is I'm not always the best at what I perform. I mean, I have some good performances, but for me, the exploration is probably one of the most exciting things. So I love creating new thoughts. I love creating new moves and new ways to do things. Even when you see me do work other things, like my projections, which some of you may know, some may not. My whole goal is just to make something different, just to show something unique or interesting. And then other people can run with it and make it better, which is why sometimes people with chucks, my goal is to make you guys better than me, because I discover these things and I share it. I'm not always the best at it. I've been doing it a long time, but there's going to be people that will just launch past me, and that's the goal. That is my absolute goal. So with that said, I'm going to, hold on one second here. I'm going to keep going here. So yeah, I don't have a teacher. I went to 3 different martial arts dojos, and they helped me form the foundations, but generally speaking, I'm just kind of a mutt, a big mix of different styles. All right, I want to say hello to Afsar and Flash the Hunter and Yandertail. Good to see you again. Ike Flow, good to see you again too. It's like we got our regulars here. Yandertail, do you have any favorite spinners? Are we talking about nunchucks or are we talking about flow artists? I definitely have favorite spinners. Maybe we'll look at some videos. Yeah, let's do that. Hold on one second. Let's bring up. Hey, it's me. So who are some of my favorite spinners? Well, I'll show you one. I'll show you for Poi here. This is an old one. Hold on one second here. Oh, Poi. Ugh, it doesn't exist anymore. All right. Let me think. Some of my favorite spinners are Kevin Axtell. This guy is amazing. You gotta check him out. I'll just show a little piece of it. Now, this guy does clubs, which you can definitely take some of his ideas and use them for nunchucks. But the way that he demonstrates, I'm just gonna be quiet. Just watch a little bit of this here. Also, can you guys hear the music from this video or not? Let me know if it's quiet. I guess I could go into a very short analysis of why I love Kevin so much. He is a fantastic, amazing, incredible performer. Look at how his body moves with his prop. He hasn't even done any techniques yet, and it's just really interesting to watch. There's the first technique right there. See, but the way his body's in complete connection, it's beautiful. Like, it's amazing. I love this guy. And he's really good, too. That always helps. Kevin Axtell, A-X-T-E-L-L, y'all. Definitely someone to watch out for. I'm going to, just trust me, he builds his act, so, like, there's so much more to see with this guy. But since I got a lot of questions, I want to move forward. But he's one of my favorite. There's a guy named Dai, D-A-I, Zalbob, who's amazing, too. There's Srikanta Barefoot. You can't miss that guy. Here, let's look up one more guy, because this guy, if you don't know Srikanta Barefoot, oh my goodness, he's a boss and a half. Let's do one more, just because I want to show you this guy too. This guy's more up the alley of the martial arts side of things, and I've actually met him when we were doing our workshops in Costa Rica. His was ending and mine was beginning, so I got to meet him for a day. Really cool guy. Really cool guy. Let's go check him out. I'm gonna do a video. Let's see. He was from Cirque du Soleil. Check this guy out. He's awesome. Oh yeah, he does a fire steer wheel too. That is an LED cube. There's some snake poi for you. Look at his movements. There you go. There you go. That is Srikanta Barefoot. Absolutely one of my big inspirations. I actually, when I first started doing staff work, when I started working the staff, I would watch his videos. Now, I wasn't able to do what he does because he's a little bit more dynamic than I am in terms of his turns, but he's always been an inspiration. So Srikanta is amazing, someone to follow. Srikanta Barefoot. He was from Cirque du Soleil. A bit of my style, not a ton of it, but a little bit of my style has been taken from watching his videos. I love that guy. He's incredible. Not only is he good like with his technique, but just the way he performs, the way he's in motion. You'll notice that my favorite people, their whole body is always connected. It's not just a bunch of really cool, highly advanced techniques, but the way they present it, you know, to me that says everything. Like, that's everything. So there we go. Those are some of my favorites, some of my favorite spinners or performers. Kyle says, what inspired you to start your YouTube channel? So when I learned nunchucks, I actually wanted to find some step-by-step ways to learn chucks. That's actually why I started, because it didn't exist. Now there's this wonderful place called Freestyle Forum. So don't get me wrong, tutorials do exist, but they're scattered everywhere, right? And for me, I got confused and I just gave up. I just figured I would try to teach myself, post videos, and get ideas for where to go next. My thought was that no one really was trying to create anything comprehensive for chucks. And so way back in the day, I wanted to start it off, but I focused more on like a martial arts version where I wanted to make like a belt system and do it more in a martial arts style or a martial arts way. But then eventually I realized that it's just too wide open for me to be able to approach it that way because everyone learns differently. But the original intent was because I just realized there was no bridge. It didn't exist yet. There are definitely lots of tutorials for chucks. I've got quite a few, but there's a lot more. But the problem is, like I said, there's no way to get from point A to point B. And I also realize that this is an issue now because while I have beginner classes, my intermediate and advanced classes are a mismatch. Like they're just a bunch of different techniques, and some people can do advanced, some people might not be able to do the intermediate. But the whole point is that I also do live streams, so if you are stuck, I can at least give you some recommendations. I can watch where you're at, and I can help guide you through. And I feel like, for me, I kind of have a save the world complex. I want to like do my part. Now, obviously, there's better ways to save the world. Like, obviously, people can be like giving to hungry, giving to world hunger or working on things. But I feel like if we all played our part, then we'd all be helping one another. And I feel like this is where I fit in, at least, because I'm not good at a lot of other things. But I feel pretty good about this. And so my goal is, I just want to give people the tools that I've learned because it's helped me through my life. It's been, anytime times get rough, man, boom, I got the nunchucks, I got the staff. I can burn stuff. It's just all the difference. And I know some of you guys know that too. I know some of you guys know like how helpful and beneficial flow arts has been for your life. And I just want to share that and get more people involved. Dennis says, how long before someone should jump to fire chucks? So that's a good question. I hate to say it depends because that's such a shady answer, but fire nunchucks are probably one of the hardest fire props because your hand is so close to the fire. And a lot of other props, the fire is far away, but with fire chucks, here, let me show you. And then I'll explain what this means. Ta-da! Here's my Dark Monk's fire chucks. With Dark Monk fire chucks, as you can see, the wicks are here and the handles are here, but the flame can get up to this high. So if you're holding it here, the flame might be burning your hands unless you know how to get it in constant motion. So I think the goal is, if you want to get into fire, obviously first, number one, I gotta say this to everyone all the time, which is find a local fire community first. Understand the safety mechanics before touching anything with fire, because there's just a ratio. If 1,000 people practice fire, someone's gonna get hurt. So understanding how to minimize that so that number is really low, if not completely gone, would be the best. So look at Home of Poi for fire safety, find a local fire troop, really understand the safety mechanics of it. I might be able to provide some links, but look up Home of Poi fire safety, Home of Poi, P-O-I, fire safety. They have a DVD and other ways to do it. I would say, generally speaking, when you are comfortable, very comfortable with figure 8 wrist rolls, and you've talked to the fire people, and you understand the fire safety basics to a degree, and you have someone watching you, you never want to do it alone. Some general rules is if it gets too hot, you hold it up above your head. You should know how to put it out. You should have a fire extinguisher, or be by a huge body of water or something like that. If you have everything together, then you should be able to do it. How long does that take? Well, it just depends. Depends on how good you are. If you got to be able to spin fast. That's the big one. If you don't spin your chucks fast, you have to wait a lot longer before you should jump to fire. If you can spin them fast, then it's whenever you can do a super fast figure 8 wrist roll, because when you first light these, the first 30 seconds or so, the fire's going to be huge, and you can also transfer onto your clothes and onto your body a lot more. So you really, really got to get figure 8 wrist rolls down to a T, because that's kind of your go-to when you don't know what else to do. The other one is just to put it on the ground. Hopefully you're standing on concrete. You put it on the ground if it's too much. And then eventually you can learn the other techniques. But you got to make sure that your figure 8 wrist rolls are on point and you're able to do it like that. I would generally give it a year though, of solid training at least. And with everything else, making sure that there's a fire safety, making sure you've got all your all your mechanics down in terms of that, making sure you have a backup, making sure you're not by a tree where you can burn it. Like there's all these little things, but when you understand that, then I feel like then you can like move to that point. Just got to be really careful. And which, like I said, I always want to have someone experienced watching you. It makes all the difference. It makes a huge difference. You'll avoid a lot of mistakes when someone's watching. Okay, Pooh, nice. Hey, Pooh asks me, I'm experienced with using nunchucks. I'm looking to get a pair of durable, programmable LED chucks. Do you have any recommendations? Thanks. I mean, okay, so that's the problem that we're gonna run into. When you think of LEDs, LEDs are generally, this is just my golden rule, is most LEDs are fragile. Now, there's ones like Ignis. I absolutely love Ignis's chucks. When I do performances, I use Ignis for programmable LED chucks. The problem is, again, whenever you're working with pixels, there's a lot of little LEDs, it's just a bunch of electronics in one area, and I can't tell you how many of these things I've broken. And when you break them, you got to ship them outside of the country, and I've get them not lost in customs, but I've had to wait up to 3 months to get my prop back because customs was holding it. So when I talk about programmable LEDs, I usually say just don't expect them to be durable. That's the best way to approach programmable LEDs. Now that's different than LEDs. Flow Toys is fantastic if you just want regular LEDs that you want to train with. But if you're talking about ones that can draw pictures, I still say most of them are fragile and they should be treated as such. But they are also one of the best things you can do if you want to be a performer, because the ability to spin logos or whatever people want is a huge selling point. So it's kind of hit and miss. For me, I don't usually use programmable LEDs unless I'm doing a show. Otherwise, I use Flow Toys when I want to do LEDs. And I'll even use LEDs for shows, Flow Toys LEDs for shows too. Just, again, if you want those programmable ones, I really wouldn't say that. I would kind of throw the idea that there's durable ones out the window because I haven't seen any. With that said, I have never broken Ignis chucks. I've had them for about 2 years. I've broken Pyroterras about 5 times. I've broken Light Tricks 2 times. Haven't broken the Ignises, but I treat all my LEDs like they're my babies, and I don't do it unless I'm performing anymore, just because I've had so many experiences with breaking them and then waiting a long time to get them back. Another pro with, I guess there's a pro with Pyroterra of all of them, which is that they have someone in the States that makes these things. And that's nice because the shipping is a lot faster. Anytime you got to go outside the country, it can be a long time. I don't know if they still have someone though, but last year at least I had to get one repaired and they were able to do it within about a week, which was nice because sometimes, like I said, it can take months, especially if customs grabs it. It's not fun. But they are amazing, aren't they? They are really amazing. I do want to say though, again, like Ignis I've loved using the Ignis chucks. There's a few modifications to make it more durable that I can show you if you do end up getting them. But just remember, all pixels should always be treated as fragile. That's just the best way to go about it. All right. Let's see here. I'm gonna keep going with the questions here. Give me just a second. Flow Arts Tutorial says he looks amazing. Do you like dev mode? He's a boss. Yes. Dev mode is amazing. I mean, there's so many spinners out there, and everyone's continually like coming up with new ideas too. Jason Jaded is amazing too. I don't know if you guys know of him. He's a great nunchuck spinner. Xander Paris is another great nunchuck spinner. And who can forget Gabriel Alexander Ford? Like that guy, just like me, he's been around forever and a day. And his double nunchucks is fantastic. He has a lot of tutorials too. Gabriel Alexander Ford, great for doubles, awesome guy. Hey, Ray just joined us. Welcome, Ray. Dennis Snyder says, "Thank you, man. That made a lot of us better ninjas." You're most welcome. You're most welcome. I'm glad that the videos help. And again, if you have like any requests, let me know right now. In a couple months, I got badass. That's awesome. Dr. Dude says, "Hey Ken, make a video explaining the schedule of your live stream so people can prepare in case live streams were regular on your end. Most people don't know how to check the community tab." Yeah, that's true. I'll post that. It's every Sunday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Every Sunday at 5 p.m. is our live stream, unless I'm out of town. Once in a while, I push it to Monday. Otherwise, it's always Sunday, 5 p.m. CST. I definitely need to have a better way to get it out because people probably don't know that. Dr. Dude, this way more subscribers can join. No, I think that's a fantastic idea. I definitely need to find a better way to get this information out. Spider Crest, constant motion is critical. My fingers were burning the last time I used them. Absolutely. Or having both chucks. If you have a back grip, you can keep both chucks here so it's a torch. This is also another way that you can do fire nunchucks without burning yourself. So this is probably the only way you can do it without constant motion. Keep in mind though that after about a minute, the fire goes down quite a bit, so it's a lot more easy. You don't have to be in motion as much, but otherwise you really have to consider the fact that the fire is almost always gonna be touching your hand if you're not moving it. Like super important to think that way. So speedy spinners can usually get away with fire quicker because they can move the fire away from their hand, but if you don't spin that fast, you have to like be a lot more careful with how you do it, or even wear Kevlar gloves. Nomex gloves is what I use. Some people use leather gloves. I generally stopped using gloves, but it is more protective. But the cool thing about gloves is your hand can be in the fire a lot longer and you won't get burned. Myself though, I lose a little bit of the feeling, and for me, I need to be able to feel the chuck on the skin in order to really get, especially some of the intricate finger moves and whatnot. But if you're first starting out, I would recommend that you get some gloves that are fire protected. It can be helpful. Dennis says, thank you, I got some from them. Yes, I can do the figure 8 wrist rolls. I can do throws and catch it with the other hand. That's great. Keep in mind when you're doing throws with fire chucks, the only thing you can see is the thing you can't touch. So your method of spotting does have to change with fire dancing. And you'll also notice like the amount of light that's around you is going to make a huge difference. For instance, if you're standing under a street light, your throws are going to be a lot easier because you can still see a little bit of the stick. Sometimes I like bright colors on my fire props, just like yellows and whites, even though whites do get a little bit dirty, just so when the fire is up there, I can still see a little hint of where I need to grab. Because otherwise, if you're in pure darkness with no light except for the fire chucks, literally the only thing you'll see is the fire, the only thing you can't grab, which changes the way that you spot. So spotting when you do throws with fire chucks is definitely a skill that takes time, but it's something that can be developed by far. All right, Dennis, thank you. Okay, awesome. Flow Arts tutorials. I did send you a poi video of my current progress. Oh, cool. Okay, that's right. I think that was in my Facebook. That's why. I look at my ken.flowtricks@gmail.com to look at the videos, but let me check Facebook. It might be easier if you all just didn't Facebook me anything that needs to be reviewed and just put it on in the email, just so I don't, because if you think about it, like sometimes I'll get 10 messages a day from different people. So if you send me a video, it may get lost. Whereas with my email, I usually only get Flowtricks requests on the ken.flowtricks page, on my ken.flowtricks email. So I'll give that a look in a minute too. Yeah. Yendertail, hey, could you cover the leg roll pass? Sure, let's go over it. You're gonna have to give me 1 second though. I have to use the restroom, so give me a second here. I'm just gonna. Yeah, 1 second. Come on now. So we're gonna talk about the leg roll pass. Let me move this chair out of the way here. What the leg roll pass is and how to do it. Here's my chuck. Let's get this a little bit lower. Boom. So a leg roll pass looks like this. goes under, we grab it with the leg, and comes over, and we catch it. What a leg roll pass actually, the way that it works is you're actually catching the chuck with your leg and you're twisting it in order to bring it about. So here's how it works. My right hand is spinning clockwise, like so, and it's gonna go under my right leg. So right hand, right leg. So I'm kind of in a front stance with my right foot out, right hand out. I'm gonna lift up my leg like this, and this is gonna go, hold on one second here. Yeah, this is gonna go, we're gonna kind of grab it with a middle grip or even almost a low grip because this has to cover a lot of ground. And this is going underneath my leg all the way like this. So it's gonna be here. We're gonna actually try to do this pass. And the way it works is my hand's gonna go under here and the chuck is kind of gonna, my hand is gonna go kind of towards, from the outside to the inside, and this is gonna wrap around to the back here. Now what's gonna happen is the momentum is gonna cause it to roll just a little bit and you gotta clutch it with your leg right here. So again, I guess one easy way to do this is we can almost do like, if we kind of turn it into a round kick, you know, like a round kick. This can also help if we kind of adjust our angle more sideways to get this to work, because that will make the chuck wanna fall right into the curve of your leg more than if we did it from the front where it has to grab a little bit more. So if you're not getting this move, you can turn to the side more because it will help you get this grab. It's gonna go under, this is gonna roll over the top, and it's gonna land right on, like you're gonna try to get it here, and then you're gonna clench your leg in like this. Now, once you get that down, you're just gonna twist your leg over, whoops, and you have this chuck that's sitting out there. You're gonna grab that open spot of the chuck. So again, we come over, we grab it, and then your hand just kind of reaches down to pull it through. And that's the leg pass. I guess I use my left hand to grab it. So right hand passes, left hand grabs it and pulls it through. One more time, we'll go here, going clockwise. We'll lift it up like we're gonna throw a kick. We're gonna throw this under, right? You wanna get it really close to the knee and it's gonna roll all the way till it gets to the back of your knee and you're gonna clutch it. This drops down and then you reach over to the other side. I usually use my left hand and just pull it through. So, whoosh, oops. That time I was grabbing too high, so it didn't get far enough to reach underneath my knee. There we go. So as I twist it this way, just kind of pull it through that way. And you totally miss. Go. And that should be the leg roll pass. Let me know if you're able to get that or if that helps. All right. I am going to go over the video, so we're going to go over a footwork recommendation for Jency, and then we're going to look at Anthony's poi video. All right. I was looking at your list of techniques, and what's a Chuck Nasty redirect? A Chuck Nasty redirect is something that Chuck Nasty, he was one of my favorite spinners, did 10 years ago. Unfortunately, I haven't done that move in about 10 years, and I can't remember. I remember that it's been a while, but a lot of the Chuck Nasty redirects have to do with taking the chuck and just pulling it one direction. So whenever you like start working with holding chucks kind of in 90-degree angles, and then you're gonna pull it until you can catch it to the same spot, that's kind of a Chuck Nasty redirect. You're basically creating some point wherever it is. It's kind of like, a lot of times you see me do something called the staircase. It's kind of a variation of it, except for we're gonna go over different planes. So usually it's a 90-degree angle or something like that. And again, what'll happen is just the right hand will pull towards the chest until it goes a full circle and then you catch it. The thing that makes it nice is there's just different ways that you can kind of play and be creative with these kinds of redirects. This is something I haven't worked on since Chuck Nasty was doing, since he was doing it. But I have a video somewhere on my YouTube channel of the hundreds of videos that I have where I go over some of my favorite redirects that he has. Let me take a look and see, maybe not right now, but let me take a look and see if I can find that video so I can show you. But most of the redirects have to be like 90-degree angles, and they're very simple moves, but they just aesthetically look nice. All right, Ike Flow. Kevlar sleeves are good for wraps, a bit like glow stringing. I do that with fire poi. Yep. Franken says, I previously suggested that you record your tutorials with the camera behind you and maybe a mirror in front so we can see see your front. What do you think? I think that's great. Camera behind me and maybe a mirror in the front. I don't have a mirror, unfortunately, but let me see what I can do about that. I do have multiple webcams that I could possibly use to kind of create different angles, that's for sure. And I always also have that visual thing that I programmed a long time ago. I haven't used that in ages too. I might have to bring that out soon too. Yeah, that's good. That's good, Franklin. I appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and start. I'm going to start with Jensi's footwork. He would like to know what kind of footwork corrections that he's made and where to go from there. And then I'll go look through my Facebook and see if I can find Anthony's video as well. Let's just go ahead and go over. Give me just a second here. So we are going to go ahead and look at Jensi's video. It's going to take me just a minute while I bring up his video and we can see where he's been. Oh, perfect. I think it's coming up right now. All right, perfect. Okay. This is Jensi's video. Let's see what he's up to. So if you guys remember, he had submitted a video prior, and I said that he was stationed a little stiff, like his footwork was very straightforward. So what we're gonna see is, there, good. What we're seeing is how he moves his body with these new things. And as you can see, there's a little bit more dynamics now because he's able to turn with it. What happens is our body gets so used to focusing on the chucks that we forget that our whole body can move. Yeah, that's good. Excellent, good swing too. Okay, we're gonna go back here. Good job, man. I like that. So, steps, you're taking really good steps. Like, that was an improvement already. Just the ability that you're doing these motions and your body's very straight right now, and then all of a sudden there's this turn that happens and back. Now what I'd like to see you do is, if you're doing a wrist roll, for instance, or if you're doing something, see if you can just kind of move your hand. It can be in a circle, it can be like in a stance, you can throw a punch. I want to see if you can start using your other hand for also motions, and also play with your stance. So your stance looks good, it's very solid, but see if also, like, even if you're just doing this, see if you just kind of get low, kind of swing to the side, swing to the other side, and just kind of feel the mobility. This isn't something that you're going to do in your flow right away, because obviously someone's not just going to be like, But what we're trying to do is kind of loosen your body and get it more attuned to moving while you're flowing, which I feel is very important. So, for instance, if you're doing a figure eight wrist roll, see what happens as you sway with it. And eventually what you'll be able to find is there's going to be different kinds of body motions that you're going to prefer that will work out well. That move that you do at the end, let's go back here really quick. The move that you do at the end is great. Boom. That swing is really nice. So one thing you can do with that is play with the speed variable as well. And I'll show you what I mean. That was a really good one. That was really good. So the speed variable basically says, like, if you move everything at the same speed, it'll create a very nice fluid motion. But if you pause, if you hold and then swing, your pauses and your slow motion will allow your fast to look faster. So everything that I'd like you to do now may not directly apply to when you perform, but it's trying to get your body used to moving while you're spinning. So I'd like to see you keep doing these moves, but just see what happens if you move a little bit. I'll give you an example. If you're doing rips right now, this is what a rip looks like in motion, right? But then you realize you can kind of pull your arm out a little bit more and do rips farther away. And you can do rips on the other side. And then you can also rip from left to right. And this kind of creates a different feel just because we're not standing here doing this just from moving from this to this, right? Just from moving to this kind of adds a little bit of a different feel. And then also stopping. Like if we just kept it in motion, that's something. But if we stop, and then if we kind of deepen the stance a little bit, boom. And then start working on even just like bending your knees a little bit. Whoosh, whoosh, So as you're moving with these motions, You see how I like just pause and stop with the clutch or whatnot? All of those things I feel like will be great helps. So I think you're making great progress. That's a good video. That's a good video. Now I'm just gonna keep trying to loosen up your body a little bit more, get it more integrated with your rolls. I think you're doing a great job. Looks fantastic. Give me just a second here. I've got a couple messages that I'm checking on. All right, perfect. So again, my recommendation right now is to keep doing that. It looks great. We still want to kind of get a little more dynamics, get your body a little bit more involved. When you're doing their footwork, it looks good. We'll add a little bit of speed, and then we'll also add a little bit of body work. And I think you'll be on your way to just awesomeness. All right, next we're gonna see if I can find Anthony's video, possibly. Give me just a second here. We're gonna go back here. It's gonna take me just a minute while I look. Gotta go through my Facebook messages. All right. Oh, there we go. Okay, Anthony wants me to check out his poi, so we're gonna go over a little bit of his poi as well and see how he's doing. All right. Got the stalls. That's good. I feel like this is a good start. Can you get 3-beat weaves yet, Anthony? All right. So what we're seeing here is a lot of ideas moving together. I feel that the transitions, like you have a lot of good ideas. We're kind of in the play state here, though. I feel like I don't think we're in the train state yet, where the moves aren't quite. The transitions in between them aren't quite flowing seamlessly yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my poi really quick. Now here's the thing, y'all. Just because I grab poi does not mean you can't do the same with chucks. For instance, this move here will be the same with poi as it will be with chucks. Or this, or all this, or this. All these can be poi moves as well as chuck moves. The only thing is chucks have the additional bonus of hand rolls, but they're also smaller, so you have to move them a lot faster than with poi. One thing I would recommend right now, Anthony, is really thinking about, here's my snake poi, is really thinking about if you're in same direction or opposite direction. So obviously the 3-beat weave is going to be something that you'll definitely want to learn if you haven't. Get this one first. There's so many tutorials on the 3-beat weave, I'm not going to cover it too much, but your ability to just kind of reference that to start with, I feel like is a good one. It's kind of the bread and butter. It's like the figure 8 wrist roll for nunchucks, is the 3-beat weave, and then also being able to reverse on the other side. Your ability to be able to stand and 3-beat weave back and forth is going to be important, as well as the ability to turn with it. And it'll be the same with the chucks too. The reason why I think that this is a good start is just because it's kind of the bread and butter. It's kind of the default moves. Even if you're using chucks, it's the same thing. You can do a 3-beat weave with chucks, move it over into the reverse, move it back to the front, move it in reverse. You know, you have all these extra like bounces and whatnot that you can do, but it's still kind of the same thing with poi or with nunchucks. I've covered 3-beat weave quite a bit. I feel like another thing to do is what I see, your nunchucks, you have so many different techniques and like so many good techniques, man, like especially with your chucks. And I see in your poi is going to be great. Like it's going to be great. You're doing all these ideas. But right now I feel like a lot of the ideas aren't quite refined yet. So I see some stalls and I see some opposite direction, really complicated moves, but they're still kind of, there's a little bit, like I feel like a lot of optimization will help out a lot. So what I would say is all the moves that you're doing right now, really feel that where those transition points are and really nail that out. And then if you're not doing the 3-beat, of course you should. I think you probably already know that one. But my biggest recommendation for what I saw was you have a lot of great ideas. Now work on optimizing the control of them and really focus on what you're doing in between these moves. A lot of times people and this is just in general, people will think one move to this move to that move. But if you really think about the transitions between your moves, that can actually speak more than the moves itself at times. So focus on how you're patching yourself into the next move or how you'd like to do that. Sometimes you got to stall into it. Sometimes you have to do, sometimes you got to do it. But that's what I would say. You know, even adding just a little bit of flair, like adding a partial anti-spin from a 3-beat, just so you can do a stall and get into the other motions, will add like a little bit of a different flair to your poison or your nunchucks. So I guess what I mean to say is, if you have an idea for a move, right, and you have an idea for another move, think of a move that patches them together and see if you can come up with something that transitions it nice and smooth. And I think that'll be the glue that it needs, that I think will take your spinning to another level. So of course there's like some stall work that I see, like I see all the ideas. I just think now it's just kind of clean it up and refine it and take it up, because you're getting it. It's good. It's definitely good. It's looking good, man. Looking good. Okay, we're gonna keep going here. I'm gonna jump on Facebook really quick just to make sure that I haven't had any questions, because once in a while I get these questions and I don't even realize it. So 1 second here. All right, do I have any comments? I have no comments. Perfect, okay. I mean, not perfect, you know, but no comments, so that's good. All right, let's keep going here. Works great when you do doubles. Thanks. Yes. Halikoa, thank you. Halikoa says, hi Ken, thanks as always for the live stream. My data service is acting up. Gonna have to catch the replay later. Oh, well, hey, thanks for joining. That's awesome. Sorry the data service is acting up though. Flowart says, yeah, I got the 3-beat with poi. It's a cool move. I have not got in reverse. It confuses me. Just remember it's backwards. So you're slashing upwards. Everything is an upwards motion with the reverse 3-beat. Getting the reverse to the regular is like bread and butter. Yeah, you know, you like butter, you like bread, put them together. This is reverse and the regular 3-beat weave are definitely like that. Yendertail says, so in the reverse flick behind the back catch, I can do the first part, but I struggle with the final part where you turn and do the second throw. Okay, let me see here. In the reverse flick behind the back catch, which of course I'm so familiar with, I'm gonna type it up here. The problem is I work on so many. If you can send me a link to the video of the reverse flick behind the back catch, I just want to make sure, because it says there's a combo. I know what the reverse flick is. I believe what you're talking about. Just want to make sure here. I believe what you're talking about is where you upstall and then you pull it backwards into a catch. But let me know if that's not the reverse flick catch. If there's a video on the combo, I'd be happy to look it over. I just can't remember. Like I said, I push out so many videos. Yeah, like, you know, almost 1,000 on YouTube and over 1,000 on Instagram too, and they're different videos. Lots of videos everywhere. But I'd like to know what that second throw is. Just so if you can send me a link to that, that'd be awesome. Anthony, thanks again. I'll work on my point transition points. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's awesome. Hey, looks like I've run out of questions. Oh, 57 amazing nunchuck tricks. Number 57. Okay. Let's take a look and see. Boom. Number 57. It's the final one. Okay, I'm going to go over here. And you can watch this ad with me. All right, here we go. Give me just a second. It's going to be... Wait, is that number... Where are we at? Oh, that's a totally different one. Hold on. Shoot. I'm horrible. Okay, I'm just going to leave it alone. All right. Cool. That's I don't want to say it's an easy one, but it's not as hard as it looks, which you will like. The first part is a front to back hand roll stall. So, standing here, front to back hand roll, right? So, I'm in my right hand, front to back hand roll. the moment it starts to move here, I'm gonna push it forward. So now it's push. Again, front to back. The moment that the free chuck starts moving here, I push my hand forward. So whoosh, right? Then it's gonna be a back to front hand roll, but it's gonna butt bounce. So step, front to back to front. And it's basically gonna drop down and it's gonna bounce off my butt like this. So now it's step, bounce, then my left hand is gonna go behind me like this. Now this is a part where it's gonna take a little bit of time because you gotta really practice this catch. So this catch is basically, you're basically trying to throw this into your hand. So we're basically trying to throw this into my hand. The trick to this, one is to keep your hand horizontal. Here and there. I usually try to throw my hand in front of me to get it out of the way. Sometimes I throw it behind, but it's a little bit easier in front. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to, if you look at the way that my chuck is spinning, the angle will make a huge difference. Like this, obviously, I won't be able to catch. The plane is way off. So if I throw it, it's going to go that direction, right? So you really want to practice this catch, you want to practice and make sure this spin is in alignment with my hand. So if it's here, my hand would be right in the way. So when it throws upwards, it'll land into my hand. So make sure that if you do a spin, look at the line that your chuck is making and make sure that this rotation is going the same direction where the hand will be, right? I'm gonna hold my hand sideways as opposed to this direction because you have more space to catch. Like if my hand is horizontal, it's easier to catch than if it's vertical. It's a lot harder, it's smaller. So hand is a little bit horizontal. I'm gonna get it in line like this. And then what's gonna happen is when it's about 12 o'clock, I'm gonna pull backwards. So when it's about 12 o'clock, pull backwards, and that's gonna cause it to go backwards. So get it in line with my hand, pull backwards, and then see if you can catch it. And you can see I kind of pull my body out to catch that. That's the behind the back catch. So it's like, the catch is right there in fast motion. But in slow motion, the butt bounce, when you bounce it off your butt, it straightens the chuck out. So usually you can just pull it straight up and straight into it. But you still want to practice this. You still want to practice this catch just to see if you can pull it off, right? But when you butt bounce again, that should make it straight. It should be a very straight up and down motion, just straight down, and then you lift it slightly up, but then you pull it backwards. So. It's all about creating a straight line before you throw it. It's a really awkward throw. Make sure your hand kind of moves to the front after you throw it. So as I throw it, my hand just kind of moves over to the front. So that way I clear space, because if I throw it this way, my arm gets in the way where it's out of the way there. And all in one motion, it's going to be here, right? Number 3, step forward, whoosh, hand roll to butt bounce, get the hand back, throw it back, and catch. Or here, here, there. So front to back hand roll with a front stall, back to front hand roll with a butt bounce, and then just flick it straight back from the bounce, keeping in mind the lines. Really think about the lines, the geometry at which it's moving, and I think you'll get that move. It does take a little bit of time to get the behind the back catch, but there are so many great behind the back catch moves, it's worth learning. So hopefully that helps. All right, perfect. Again, if anyone has any more questions too, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to message me. Now, I'm going to go over a couple things that I was working on, unless I have any more questions, of course. I think I've gone through all the questions. Let's talk about bouncing for a second. I've been working on some bounces. I think they're pretty fun. We're going to go, this is kind of a beginner to intermediate motion. We already know this is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We've done this quite a few times. But I was also playing around with different kinds of bounces that we could do outside of that. For instance, if I was turning sideways, we're going to go back to the butt bounce. You can start working on just like bouncing it off the tricep from the top and the bottom. So this could be 1, this could be 2. Well, actually 2 will be the butt bounce now. So from 1 to 2, we have this new motion that can happen. It's not really bouncing off the butt per se, but what we're trying to do is remove one of the points that we usually use. In the old hyper style, it was always opposite hand, top of the shoulder, bottom of the shoulder, another hand. But if we remove it by turning our body sideways, we can go here to under to over. There's different kinds of patterns that we can create from there. Now when we go over longer stretches, this gives us the option to do hand rolls, which is what I kind of wanted to go over. For instance, if we go from here to here, you can do a hand roll to get over this direction. But if you take it down to the legs, it's just going to naturally have, it's going to have a more natural bounce to it. So now what you can practice is bouncing off the hand, doing a front to back hand roll, but as it's coming down, you're going to pull it down into the leg or the butt and back up, back to front to back to front to back. And you can do the same thing with, you know, the underneath too. You can go from here to a front to back, here, back to front to back to front. And now we have hand rolls as opposed to just doing this, which it can be cool, but sometimes it looks a little goofy when you see people just going like this, you know? So you can loosen it up a little bit by adding an extra hand roll to the mix. Here, hand roll, hand roll, hand roll, hand roll. So now what we're doing is a combo that mixes all of them. It's going to be opposite shoulder, front to back hand roll, down to the leg, back to front, number 3 bounce, then front to back, and over we go. Now we have this nice new combo with hand rolls. If we didn't do it, it would look like this. If there's no hand rolls, it's still kind of cool, like it still works, but there's just something that can be said about adding extra hand rolls. Here's another trick too. If you mix hand rolls with, or if you mix hyper style with front to front rolls, you can come up with other options, especially if you add figure eights. For instance, if I'm turning totally sideways now, I'm gonna go ahead and let's just say I'm gonna do a bounce, and then as I come to the other side, I can do a roll. So I'll give you an example here. Boom, here's a back to front to back here. So now we can do like hyper bounces by doing, but we're using our tricep to bounce it back and forth. So it's a figure eight wrist roll, but now we're allowing it to incorporate bounces with it, right? There's all different kinds of ways that you can go ahead and do this. We can also go the opposite way. For instance, if I start underneath on the opposite side like this, and as it's coming up, I can basically work on the reverse figure eight and only do 1 roll as opposed to 2. So before I was doing figure eight wrist rolls, 1, 2, and then doing it, you can also just roll it one time, just do a figure eight. Just start a figure eight, but then go into a wrist roll and then go the opposite direction. And now what happens is every time you bounce, you're basically changing your grip. So I'm in front grip here. If I just do 1, obviously I'll be in back grip. So this is a good way to change your grip. It's just do 1, and then you're still doing your hyper, but you're in a reverse grip. And whenever you want to change back, just do a hand roll and you're back. It's just a nice way to transition where people don't realize that you've changed your grip. I like it. It's pretty nice. I feel like the front to front is also a nice one. I'll give this one more and then we'll be done. For instance, if I bounce over the top of my shoulder like this, I can go into a figure eight, but when I go to the outside of my body, I can do a front to front right there. So here, swing out, front to front, under. Now we're in reverse, obviously. So you can still do a front to front when you're bouncing from under, but you got to take it to the other side of your body. So if we bounce it under here and we do a front to front here, we can bounce it to the top. So swing out, front to front, bounce, front to front, top, swing out, front to front, bounce, front to front, bounce. And now we have this other combo. And if I stand over here, you may be able to see it better. Yeah, just like all these different ways. When people are asking about combos, sometimes it's like, yeah, you can like pull together new techniques, but you can also just like break apart techniques. A lot of this is just like taking a figure eight and only doing half of the move. So that way you have to force yourself to do a different kind of roll than you'd normally do if you completed the move, if you completed the figure eight, or if you added hand rolls on both sides of the figure eight, or just one side of the figure eight. All of that changes the dynamics and also changes the patterns that you can create. So that's food for thought for now. Okay, give me just a second. Let's see what kind of questions we have here. Snyder, contact and redirects with fire chucks. Like, I imagine that's hard to do. Yeah, contact fire is definitely going to be one of the hardest. Anytime you're doing contact moves, I don't even know if it's possible, to be honest, when it's on fire. It's just going to be rough. I mean, you can definitely do like certain kinds of contact moves, but like when people are doing halo rolls or whatever, the odds of the fire getting you are going to be a lot higher. But being able to do certain rolls like this can work. The trick to doing contact moves, if you want to do like infinite rolls or whatever, I would recommend that you do it in the last minute of your burn. So if you have a 3-minute burn, don't even play with the contact until you're in the 2-minute mark. Because when you first start out, you will not want to do anything with contact. It needs to move fast, especially if you have fresh wicks. You're just going to want to move your chucks fast. That's going to be the best options. And then when the fire starts to die out a little bit, you can get into more creative stuff. But generally speaking, in the beginning, I would go fast, fast, fast. Undertale already had the move. It was just the second throw that I couldn't do. Oh, cool. I just taught the whole thing. Nice. Wait, does that mean that, was there a second throw in there that I missed? Give me a second. My bad if I taught the wrong one. Let me take a look really quick. So, yes. I'm just taking a look to see if the second throw, because that was only one throw, so I totally messed that up. So, give me just a second here. Flick, stall, butt bounce, throw. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I totally taught you. I taught you the move you already knew, and we didn't go over the one you didn't know. So after you do the behind the back catch here, I'm assuming that it's going to be a back to front hand roll throw, but let me just double check and make sure with the turn. Yeah, that's all it is. It's actually a lot easier than. It's actually easier than that throw. It's going to be here, here, butt bounce, grab, and then I'm going to turn, but I'm going to keep my hand here. It's going to be a front to back hand roll, and I'm going to throw it up in the air and catch. It's very similar to this kind of motion where we do the behind the back 360 move. But since it's already behind us, remember, keep your hand exactly where it's at. That's the trick to it. So again, here, let me do it again here. We butt bounce here. This stalls. We have to change direction because we caught it on the opposite side of the chuck. So as this nunchuck is flying over to my hand and I catch it this way, the chuck can't keep spinning this way. It actually has to go the opposite way. So it's thrown in one direction, but then we fling it the opposite direction here. And we're not going to throw it right away. What we're going to do is we're going to fling it up this direction so we can front to back hand roll. So again, here, fling it to a front to back hand roll. But as we fling it in the front to back hand roll, I'm also turning to meet it. So now it's going to be catch, oops, catching it this way. As I do the front to back hand roll, my body turns with it here. I'm in back grip, and then I crank it up in the air to catch it. Like that. So it's just a turnout. I think the catch is a little bit hard because you have to think of terms of stopping the chuck and going the exact opposite direction. But there's really nowhere it can go. It's kind of like this, where if you caught the chuck here, the only place to go is the exact opposite. So here, catch, roll, throw. Except for there's a hand roll. So I'll try to go nice and slow one more time. Hand roll, throw, catch. Kind of reminds me of, it's almost like these stall catches that you can do with chucks, you know, where the chuck moves, but then you grab it. It can't possibly go the same direction, so you fling it the opposite way. It's kind of similar, except for we do a hand roll and then a throw. Kind of the same thing. One more time. Here, hand roll. Drop it. Yep. That's fate. So hopefully that helps. Sorry that I totally missed that and I was demonstrating a move you already knew how to do. You totally did say the second throw. All right, there we go. Again, we are doing the live stream with Flowtricks, so if you have any questions, I got a couple of messages here. If you have any questions at all, this is the time to ask. We've probably only got a little bit more time left to go. But I'm more than happy to help you guys with your nunchuck questions or staff or anything like that. I think someone was actually going to ask me. About a staff move. Let me know. Otherwise, we can always cover it next week. Keep in mind, we're going to do this every Sunday at 5 p.m. until otherwise. One of these times, maybe we should just go over all 57 moves in that video. That would be kind of cool. That was a good video. All right, let's go ahead and just let me show you some, yeah, let's do some stall reverse throws. So, stall reverse throws are kind of fun. Or flick throws, you can work on those too. Stalls are very interesting. I feel that stalls are like super great to learn. It took me a while to learn it. I bet you guys can learn it even better, but a trick to getting a good stall is making sure that the chuck is standing straight up and it's not kind of like flopping like this. Like a bad stall is the chuck's just kind of flopping around. So the trick to a good stall, especially an up stall, because we're going to go over that, because I feel like up stalls are like really handy. You can get a really nice, cool move, and there's also a lot of like nice, cool things that you can do. For instance, hand roll, stall, hand roll, stall, hand roll, stall. Let's do that one. Yeah. So let's first work on the up stall. This one I would say again is kind of intermediate, so keep that in mind. I generally like to flick it and twist my wrist. Either my thumb comes up with it like this. If I'm going extra wide out of my body, it looks like my thumb is going straight up, straight up. The trick is always, as you're going down, you're losing momentum, but the moment it starts to come up, you give it a nice flick. Now most of your power comes into here, so as my chuck is coming down, I'm giving it a flick, and that's going to provide the force to make it move upwards. If you give it too hard of a flick, it's going to overshoot. So it's really about learning how much power you need to put as your hand comes down and back to up. And not only that, as soon as you flick it, this is going to start to rise, and your other hand is going to move right underneath it. As your hand moves underneath it, regardless if the other chuck is standing straight or sideways, what you want to do is get underneath it to the point where it stops, almost vertically. And that just takes practice. It just really takes you sitting down and just going back and forth. Remember, it's just flick up, flick up, flick up. Like I said, I really like that motion. There's a lot of neat things you can do. One of them is you can stall to your opposite side. So we can do an up stall to the opposite side. And as we come down, we can do a front-to-front hand roll right here. It's almost like a cursive. So it's almost like here, cursive, up, cursive, up, cursive, up. When I say cursive, it's just an extra roll that's kind of elongated. And then we add a hand roll to it. Hand roll, up. The hand roll coming from this side is a lot trickier. It has to be kind of like a front to back hand roll. So you're actually in a back grip when you're coming up here, and then a back to front grip up here. So you kind of have to change your grip. But it's just a nice way to do it. Or you can just do it from here if you just want to keep it to fronts, where you only do the hand roll here, hand roll up, up, hand roll up, up. I feel the front to front is a little bit better in this one, just because you can lift it more, you can give it more of a rise than you can with back to front and front to backs. It's kind of interesting to think, but there's just a little bit more control with being able to move the chuck in the middle of the roll if you're doing a front to front, probably because it has to cover more ground in front of your hand as opposed to the back to front or the front to back. So when I do this, I generally like to do front to fronts because I can really get a big circle. Again, we can do it the opposite way, like we can go back to front, but you see like I have a lot less space to work with if I do it that way. But you can also add rolls back to front, front to back. You just can't get that height that you can with a front to front. So it's here, roll it around, front to front, up, back, roll it around, front to front. Again, that's kind of a little bit more advanced. If you just want to work on the stalls, by all means, just work on the stalls. Just really work on cleaning it out and really getting enough force to where it's kind of like an anti-spin. You should always be feeling the force of the chuck very taut with the string. It should feel really nice and tight the whole time. If it feels loose, then you've either hit it too hard, like you hit it too hard and it just gets wobbly, or you didn't give it enough juice and it just kind of dies. So you got to find the happy spot where it just moves nice and easy, and then see how long you can make it last up in the air as you're stalling upwards. I like to use this one a lot because there's a lot of nice little stalls that you can do, and I feel like they just look really nice. And all we're doing is up stalls and down stalls with hand rolls. I guess that's not all we're doing. I mean, that's not to say that that's super easy, but it looks a lot more complicated when you're in motion, when you're doing it in combos, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's what I mean by all. But up stalls, down stalls, definitely good to learn. If you do down stalls, if you do down stalls, it also sets you up. So like up stalls we know look cool, but if you do a down stall, which is coming over the top and stopping, you can sit here for a second, I mean, there may not be a whole lot you can do, but you can also take your knee and like bounce it back into motion. Or you can kick it too. Or you can do a down stall and use your arm to chop it. So we can go up stall, down stall, chop, back. You know what I mean? Or up stall, down stall, kick, and we're back. So you can come up with some really neat, cool ideas. Because your chuck is far away, you can stall it downward, and you have all this extra distance where you can do some really cool and creative moves. Who knows what you can do? You could, you should make some up and show me. I'm just here to show you guys the possibilities. You guys got to take it further. So, Aiki Flow. Any interesting double stick combo patterns that you recommend from Kali Eskrima days? Sure. I don't know if I have sticks, unfortunately. I have one stick. Hold on. These are really long. Man, it's been a while. I really can't get over like the idea of, this is even just with staff work, just the idea of having that extra power by using the twist of your wrist back and forth like this. I don't feel like this is used very often in like the flow art scene. It's very martial artsy, but it does have a bit of wear and tear if you don't do it right. Now this is super long to be able to get away with it, but just the ability to use the force of the snapping of your wrist, snap, snap, to be able to create power. Because you can go really fast, especially if you have a, that's like 2 hits, 1, 2, but it's also coming in at a very solid rate. Here's a stick. But I tend to like those kinds of motions, or there's one where if someone's doing a stab, you parry it, you grab their arm, you come around the head and you chop their arm off. But it's also just a really nice fluid motion for flow too. So, someone's coming in, they're going for the stab, you deflect it, grab their arm, chop their head off or whatever. This one you might see me use a bit, and I use this in flow. With doubles, I can't remember a whole lot of the doubles. I mostly did single stick and single knife, but you can kind of do the same thing where this kind of parries to the outside, ricochet, this can either come out and then a lot of it is just like boom, boom kind of thing. It's been a long time since I've done college, so you'll have to excuse me. And again, most of my work was single staff, but I find I really like those. I mean, there's all different kinds of, I don't know. A lot of it has to do with the snapping motion of your elbow with your wrist. The bad news is I haven't done Kali in I'm in my 40s now, and I did it a lot in my early 20s, so I'm probably, all the Kali people are probably yelling at me right now. Please don't stab me. I know you guys are awesome. But the good news is I really did study martial arts, which is nice. I don't try to say that I'm a martial arts teacher, even though I used to teach martial arts way back in the day, but at least I know what I'm talking about. I'm not making it up. Didn't see it in a movie or anything. I actually practiced it. I guess that's good. Anyways, my favorite things I feel like one of the coolest things that I learned from Kali is the wrist flick. And when it comes to chucks even, while I don't do the wrist flick, that move has helped me understand how you can just kind of have very little velocity and be able to put a lot of power just in a very simple flick. So when I'm going really fast like that, it's very similar to what I learned in Kali when when I'm doing these motions, it's a lot of wrist flicks. When I'm doing chucks, it's the same thing, except for when I want to get a lot of speed with chucks, it's the same thing. A lot of it is that sharp wrist twisting motion. It's really subtle. And the problem with chucks is if when you do those wrist flicks, it makes the chucks really, really sensitive as opposed to when you use your elbow in your body, because those flicks, if your hand's not on the balance point, it's going to fly off. So it's almost like turning this more into a motorcycle when you start doing flicks with the chucks, but then you're able to accomplish a little bit more. You're going to have a lot more speed. It's going to be a lot harder to control at first, but the payoff is great. You can definitely get a lot more speed. I really do think that the Kali training, even though I forgot a lot of it, the dexterity that it gave me and the ability to control my wrists and the speed of which they move is probably a huge factor in why I'm able to spin the chucks faster. Awesome. Well, we are at 6:15. I think we've answered all the questions for today. Keep in mind, we will do this again on Sunday. It's really always great to hear from you all. Please come with as many questions as you want. I love answering questions. I mean, like I said, I've made so many videos. Sometimes I just run out. Like I could keep making random videos, but when someone asks me a question, I know it's definitely going to help someone by answering it. So I really like the live streams. It was a little awkward at first, I will admit. Being a live streamer can be really awkward compared to a video where you can have a million retakes, and get that perfect shot. But I really like it. I think it's a lot more human, Let's see. Got one more question here. How can call a person like you that works with Nunchaku, maybe martial artists? When I talk to martial artists, I tell them I'm a creative weapons instructor. Creative weapons is what I say. When I talk to people that aren't in martial arts, I tell them that I'm a flow artist. I'm a performer. You can say circus, but people think clowns. So I generally, creative weapons works well for a lot of people. You can say extreme martial arts, XMA type stuff too. That kind of gives people an idea, even though a lot of that involves flips. Creative weapons, flow arts, those are usually my two fallbacks. So I hope you guys have a great week. Again, if you have any more questions, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let's review it online. And again, if you like what you see, boom, boom, boom. You can drop a little tip in my tip jar. Just go to paypal.me/flowtricks and drop a little love. That would be awesome. I'll go buy a coffee with it or something. I don't know. New nunchuck. Who knows? Or if you want to sign up for the Patreon, of course, there's patreon.com/flowtricks where there's over 100 exclusive videos. And every Thursday, too, the Flowtricks Pro group, we do Zoom classes where I watch you guys perform live or train live, and I give you guys advice. That's the Flowtricks Pro group if you guys are interested. And that keeps me going while there's no performances. And I don't think, from the looks of COVID, I don't think that I'll be performing anytime soon regularly. Like back in the old days, that was where I mostly made a living, which is why you didn't see me very much on YouTube. Not that I don't want to teach. Don't get me wrong. It's just when performances are big and high and mighty, it's like, it does take a lot of your time, which is great because now I can focus on creative things and doing more live streams and hanging out with y'all. But yeah, Patreon is just a great way to support that. So I know I can keep going with that. So really appreciate it. Anyways, hey, yeah, thanks, Ray. We'll see you on Thursday too. Hope you all have a great end of your weekend. And if I don't see you on Thursday, for you Flowtricks Pro members, I will definitely see you guys on Sunday. So take care.